Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Thomas, where I discuss my near-death experience, the things I learned, and the things I think you should know. So today I'm going to be talking about the way meeting with Jesus in heaven and witnessing his crucifixion has profoundly changed me. So I got an overwhelming response from viewers asking me to discuss Jesus' crucifixion and how meeting with him has changed my life. For help with this subject, I asked the Lord to inspire me, as I believe it is a deceptively simple topic. Some of it I left in channeled form, so you might see how Jesus is capable of talking to all of his flock. So let's dive in. And this is Jesus speaking. Thank you, Thomas. Your devotion to helping your YouTube followers is inspirational. I would like you to discuss in regard to how I've changed your life. Before your near-death experience, you were lost, both physically from your illness and pain, as well as spiritually through your disbelief. You had let your illness, pain, and depression keep you from sharing your gifts and talents. You'd forgotten how to be happy and to do all the things that you enjoyed. Your depression kept you from sharing your gifts and talents. Your depression left you a shell of a man. You begged God in your agony to take your life. Your relationships were unfulfilling, and the women you were with left you more of a shell of a man than when they met you. Some of them cheated on you even while you lay in a hospital gurney. The women you were with left you broken and no man at all. You'd forgotten how to love and how to be loved. This was not your fault. You had good reason to be this way. You were a shadow of your former self, but no one could blame you. When God didn't take you because it wasn't your time, even as you pleaded for him to take your life time and time again, it was because he was answering my prayers in another form. Despite surviving time and time again what would kill the strongest man, no one can blame you for wanting to escape this reality. When God didn't take you time and again, you still failed to recognize the work of your angels in your life. So my near-death experience changed all that. Seeing my crucifixion was a very traumatic event for you. Your NDE changed all that. Seeing my crucifixion was very traumatic, but what stuck with you was the look of my eyes. My eyes saw through you, and I was surprised at what I saw. Before me was a frightened, sympathetic young man, not yet ready to meet his fate. My eyes saw through you, and what stood right in front of me, what stood before men, was a frightened, sympathetic young man, a shell of his former glorious and proud self. You were as surprised by what I saw as what you saw. What stood before me, a frightened, sympathetic young man, you were as surprised as I was. I saw and felt your pain as my own. Witnessing Jesus' crucifixion made a believer out of me, and Jesus now calls me his brother. Witnessing his crucifixion made a believer out of me wholeheartedly. You, like my twin Didymus Thomas, need to see to believe. This is not because you are a doubter, as society deems you. You are not a doubting Thomas. You, like my brother Didymus Thomas, need to see to believe. This again is not because you are doubters, as history has labeled you. Rather, you are a true scientist. You keep an open and willing mind to all possibilities until all the answers are in. It was me you witnessed on the cross, but it is good to ask yourself these questions about it being Didymus Thomas that was crucified, and in a way yourself. The line, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do," could be interpreted to mean that they did not know who they were crucifying. It is good that you realize whoever was crucified, it was to have long-lasting effects on humanity. The repercussions of witnessing Jesus' crucifixion has profoundly impacted me. When I go to church, I am able to sort out who is being true to themselves and serving others. I go to a smaller, older congregation, but I appreciate the short but powerful sermons. The act of seeing others believing helps me to shut down my mind and to be moved by the hymnal songs. Witnessing Jesus on the crucifix has had a profound effect on me. It makes me now believe that he died for our sins. It helped me to understand that there is forgiveness for all as long as we are willing to ask for it. I saw that Christ has asserted all of mankind's sins and transgressions in one act of true bravery and compassion. No longer would evil be able to take over a being if that being sought out a personal relationship with God. We had our sins washed away by this ascended Master, and that is why I saw his throne in heaven. Through his resurrection, he made himself whole, infinite again, and this, too, was for our benefit. I saw that Jesus is in us all. While watching his crucifixion, a couple of profound things happened. I was him, and he was me. As I looked at him in pain and agony, he looked back at me with a surprised look for me to see. This look has startled me, and something I think I'll never forget. His eyes were so intense, like they were made of a fiery green. The anger and compassion left his eyes and face as he reflected on what he saw in me. He saw me as a frightened individual trying to make some understanding out of his final moments. He saw right through me. He gave me a big grin, with his face serene despite all the pain and agony he was in. I believe he was also surprised to see me because I was him in some sense. He wondered what grief I'd been handling that left me a shell of my former self. The look of surprise for me there will forever stick with me, as well as his pain. Though he took painful lashings and an even more painful crucifixion, his focus was still on the light and those around him. I believe he was seeing me as a future self he would later come to know. My near-death experience and the things I've come across following my intuition have led me to believe there is a deep connection to Didymus Thomas and myself. I saw a series of incarnations here on earth from before the time of Christ that leads me to believe that I am him and he is I, or we're one of the apostles. Since my near-death experience, and it has taken a lot of inner work, meditation, prayer to overcome, Jesus has played a huge role in my life. Meeting with him in private was intimidating. I felt I had no gift to give to God. I felt I wasn't appropriately dressed, as I was wearing jeans and a flannel from the bottom of my hamper at the time of my NDE. I insisted Sarah stay by my side and that she even wait in line with me. This was the only place she could not go. I had to meet with Jesus in private. I felt too horrible that I didn't have an offering to place at his feet. As I remarked about all this, and how I was unshowered and unfit for a king, Sarah and others reassured me that no one has a gift to give to God. Any gift you would give to God would be gifts you'd sown in heaven while here on earth by using the gifts he'd given you. A sinking feeling came over me as I let my physical illnesses prevent me from sharing my gifts and talents with humanity, let alone God. They assured me no one has ever had a gift for him, and they very kindly let me wash myself up with a sweet-smelling water, and they gave me a white cloth of the finest sort. Then to wear over myself, they gave me a simple but eloquent white robe to wear during my meeting. Jesus was happy to see me and asked what took so long. We got into the matter of me being allowed to go back to earth. I begged and threw myself prostrate on the floor, crying and wailing like a toddler might do. I tore at the robe I had been given out of sheer fear and the agonizing thought I would never have another opportunity to master life and to use my talents and gifts to truly help others. It was a short meeting, but I remember Jesus saying that no man had ever begged so purely and with such emotion to go back to the lower existence that is earth, with all its challenges. He said it was not a totally done deal, and while in his eyes I deserved to come back, I would have to meet with the council that sits beneath him and present my case there. So, with Sarah by my side again, and truly traumatized by all I had seen and learned, I was tired and ready to give up. Sarah motivated me and kept me going. She spoke on my behalf. Every planet with consciousness is resided over by a type of council that acts as an intermediary between God and the beings that live under his rule. I had to present my case about why I should be allowed to come back instead of Stephen Hawking. We both presented our cases, but because he'd had an opportunity to live in such spectacular fashion, having changed humanity and science forever, and I hadn't yet had a chance to put my talents and gifts to use. So there was no emotion over the proceedings, only logic. Afterwards, Stephen warned me about extraterrestrials and their artificial intelligence that may be coming to Earth to enslave mankind. The next thing I know is that I'm falling back into my body just as my co-workers are finally coming to help. I didn't know it at the time, but Hawking's last produced work was about the threat extraterrestrial beings may have against us. Since my near-death experience, Jesus has come into my life in all sorts of ways. Every morning when I wake up and I have my cup of Tulsi tea and lemon, I add some cannabis honey and go about channeling a message from my spirit guides. It might be from Sarah, from one other of my guardian angels, from Jesus, or from my star friends. They don't like to be called aliens. Often Jesus speaks through me with the help of Sarah. He always tells me he's proud of the work I'm doing and to help myself and helping others. I go through my day thanking him for the many things, even the small things, I find myself being grateful for. This is just one of the ways he has changed my life since my NDE. Jesus continues to make himself known through messages and signs, but mostly through inner dialogue that I have to quiet my mind to hear. Depending on what is going on, if there's music, etc., he will still find a way to enter my inner dialogue. I have developed a personal relationship with him that I think benefits us both. I often find him having a quirky type personality. For example, he'll make me feel awful about some small thing and then make a joke about how it doesn't matter. He just wanted to see me smile. Jesus has been urging me to have a more private, less serious, and more playful relationship with him. He calls me his brother and I him. By doing all this, Jesus also taught me to trust completely in him and the divine realm, that everything will work out. I don't have to worry if he will worry for me. I've also learned to deepen our relationship not only through prayer and meditation, but through the use of shamanic plants like psilocybin cubensis and cannabis honey. As I am using them spiritually and not recreationally, I believe the mushroom entities protect me from harm or from a bad experience. The first time I used mushrooms in this way, the first image that appeared was of Jesus, and he asked me, again, what took me so long, brother? I won't go into psilocybin mushrooms any further here, but for me, they have been a powerful tool for spiritual work and physical health, adding in breaking down the barrier of consciousness that keeps us from discovering the true realities of this other side, where true life happens and where we are infinite and don't die. Since Jesus has come into my life, I feel more awake. I am able to tune into a higher perspective, especially when dealing with others. He has made me profoundly grateful. I don't have the existential worries that used to cripple me, such as what is life about, and why are some people too much more challenged than others. I often get encouraging words from Jesus and continue to have lucid dreams and visions of him. What still baffles me is that there was an empty throne in heaven next to where Jesus sits. I often wonder who or what this throne is for. I saw that we all have the capabilities of the Son of Man, if we believe we do, and have instruction on how to harness those uses. Jesus has taught me to say only what is true and to find happiness and peace through him. So thank you for watching. I hope it was an informative video. Please like and subscribe, as I can't do this alone. You are a gift and the reason I came back from my near-death experience. Much love and namaste.